If you are new to radio receiver construction or just gathering information for your next project, you should ask yourself, how strong is the signal that I want to receive? This is applicable to light, sound and radio frequencies and is based on physics. And now for a radio construction project, ask yourself, will the radio be grounded? What kind of antenna will it have? Does it need to be a full wavelength or a fraction of that? Will it be directional? Here is a question from one of our viewers.
Hi. My name is Stan Swizzlestick and I need your help. I have built an AM radio from a project in a magazine. Everything looks okay, but it only picks up one station. What did I do wrong? How can I make it more sensitive? Thanks for your help.
Well, Stan, if you absolutely know that your tuning components are correct and should cover more stations, then I'd look into the 3 basic requirements of good radio reception. 1. A good antenna. 2. A ground possibly. Easier done on the living room radio, iWatt. And 3. A good RF preamp. Examples are all on the internet, or in the following video. Now, if the radio is a portable, then that tells us that it has to be an air loop, a loop stick or a short vertical. But definitely make a preamp for your radio. Stan, this video is for you. Try the TA7642 IC. It is the great-grandson of the Ferranti ZN414 from the early 70s. It works as a tuned radio frequency radio, a TRF. It is actually an integrated circuit that looks like a TO92 transistor. Yes, with only 3 leads. Ground, in, and out. The output lead also has the power. It has a detector, an AGC circuit, and is made up of 10 transistors. It operates on 1.5 volts, so a voltage regulator or a voltage divider must be used if you are using a 9-volt supply. The TA7642, the MK484 and the ZN414 radio circuits are all over the internet. Adding a TA7642 to my homemade AM radios has greatly improved their reception, allowing me to receive 5 radio stations. On a skip or DX, I have picked up Los Angeles, 787 miles away. That is without a ground lead and only a 20-inch vertical antenna. Let's get started.
Anyway, I don't know if that's going to work. Okay, thanks for putting up with my AI experiments. My editing software has AI functions. You can type in something, choose an accent, a language, and it'll create a whole new actor, which has the acting community a little worried. But I'm here to say how much I like the TA7642 used as a preamp in my homemade AM radios. In previous videos you've seen where I had 1 and 2 transistors trying to help the audio, and maybe use a FET, a J108 or an MPF 102 as a preamp. They work okay, but you use a lot of parts and resistors, capacitors. So for some reason I finally got this device a TA7642. It used to be the ZN414, and then I think it was a 484, and then China called it a YF something or other. But of course these are all made in China now, maybe Taiwan. Nobody would make this in the United States, I don't think. But basically antenna over here, tank circuit. The TA7642 has a preamp, and then it goes into one transistor to help the audio boost, and then it goes into a 386 for the final amplification. If you notice, of course, 3 inputs. I'm in the garage light just turned off. 3 inputs, 1 goes to ground, 2 is for the tank circuit, and notice the tank circuit is not grounded. That's something different. Isolated by this capacitor, pin 2. And then the rest of it is grounded and runs on 9 volts. One little caveat you gotta be careful of, the 7642 only runs on like 1.5 volts around there. But most of our radios will run on something higher than that, 9 volts, 6, 9, 12, whatever. So you have to have a voltage divider on pin 3. Now you have a 120K here. Well, I just erased part of the K. And then you have a 100K also to pin 3, but it doesn't quite go to ground. You know, it's part of the tank circuit over here. But it works. The pin out of the TA7642, pin 1 is ground, pin 2 is in, pin 3 is out, and also that's where the power is applied. For NPNs, emitter base collector, EBC, if you're looking at the front of the transistor, the coil of the tank circuit is a 4-inch diameter loop, 35 turns of number 28. You can experiment with that. I just did get some, I guess they're like 5 or 6 inch ferrite rods off of Amazon. It took like 2.5 weeks to get here, and they kept saying, do you really want this? Do you really want? And I kept saying, yes, yes, yes. But they were all okay. 5 of them. None were broken. But it only took like 57 turns in the middle of this long ferrite bar, and in parallel with a 121 picofarad and 770 kilohertz, a local radio station here. Comes in great. So I may experiment with replacing this loop with the ferrite rod antenna. Something to say about this antenna. In the garage where we are now, that's usually a long wire which can throw off your inductance of your tank circuits. You got to be careful with your final project, because the length of your antenna will change where your tuning is. So I usually just incorporate a little telescoping antenna. See if I can get this telescoping antenna over here, which you don't need for the real strong stations, of course, but if you're going to pull in some of those weak ones or distant stations, then it really helps. If you're not familiar with a attenuation pot, I've discovered that kind of helps because of the gain of the preamp. If you come across a real strong station like 770, then you want to turn this down and attenuate some of that signal. But if you want to pick up, you know, a DX station from another state, you're going to turn this so you can get full antenna. And so you got another knob to fiddle with. Of course, here's this is evidence of my great construction techniques. When I cut out the hole in the face plate with my laser, the hole was too far over. So when I tried to put this size potentiometer for my attenuation pot back there, it would hit the speaker. I'm sure there are smaller 100K pots I could use. I just haven't found them yet. I have like 2 or 3 junk bins with the potentiometers in there. So it looks a bit crude, but most of my radios are quite crude. But they finished nicely, and then I screw it up after that. But I made a circuit board. I don't know if you can see that. A circuit board, and I tried to find one. Like what? I only made one? I don't think so. So I must have made like 3 and then put them in radios, so I don't have a little model to, you know, hey, look at this. I'm showing off my circuit board that I made just for the TA 7642. Of course, the rest of it is basic copper platforms, squares on single-sided copper, and then of course the 386 is regular configuration, as you can see here. I did add a 4.6. I tried 1 to increase the gain, and that wasn't enough. And then I put 10 in there, and then I started getting some oscillations, which resulted in squeals and howls, which the dogs really appreciated. So 4.6, you know, this is not a perfect circuit, but it's one of my hobbies, and it's fun. You do a little bit of woodworking, a little laser stuff, and some electronics, and then you search, see if you can pick up some stations.
This one is Foulback. Here in the month of May, a 360 average, 442 on base, 747 slugging. It's got 6 doubles. Yeah, this is like a burger.
I still feel like they should be separate.
I hadn't even heard of it until maybe within the past 6 months or so. I didn't know what it was. And is a very popular, I'm not even sure what it is. Is it like Substack? Is it something like that? Because more and more I'm seeing Discord.
As my AI friend that kind of looks like me said earlier, that we got a radio station from LA or somewhere on the West Coast talking about traffic, and that happens about 2, 3, or 4, 5 o'clock here. So that's evidence of a skip or a DX, because after that the station fades out and we don't get it anymore. So this is an improvement. It increases my my sensitivity, not selectivity, but sensitivity. So I wrote 5 stations, but you know, maybe that's I picked up a skip or a DX station to make 5, because it basically picks up 3, and then certain times you can pick up 1290, and they play oldies, and then you got 1000 kilohertz, and that's some religious station. Then you got 770, which is the news and some entertainment, and then 600, 6 something, and that's a sports animal. But that's it. That's lots of fun. Very inexpensive, And it really helps if you're building some kind of communication or preamp for your AM radio. Okay, see ya. Bye. I even took a shower for this.